So this is interesting. We just got off our Sunday call, and there was a guy who's going through a divorce and a custody battle, and he's gotten some conflict, some conflict happening. And basically what happens is, the woman says that she's feeling afraid. She feels unsafe. And when he got too close, I forget what the exact thing is, but she ended up pushing him and assaulting him. And oftentimes when you call the police in this situation, it doesn't really work out too well for the man. I encourage guys actually to do that just so they can have a record. But you're going to be disappointed on justice happening. And most of the times the cops make fun of you. They like, why are you calling us? Oh man, you're afraid. Anyway, there's always some commentary, but to get that on paper is good. Sometimes that does backfire on men and it gets turned around. And so you got to start understanding the law in these situations. But this was interesting because it moved into the call in this situation. I think this is real important for men to hear. I dislike it when men get hyper paranoid on women attacking them in the courts and all these things. And this is coming from somebody who's been falsely accused of something that teaches men over and over again on a daily basis how to protect themselves from this. I dislike it when men get hyper paranoid about that. However, this is the advice I'm going to give isn't to encourage you to be hyper paranoid. The advice I'm about to give is what I would consider realistic. If somebody is irresponsible with their emotions, in this case, I'm going to say the woman is, if she is irresponsible with her emotions to the point where she hits you or says that she's afraid and is allowed to hit you, or she's put in such an emotional, distressful situation where she is allowed to react in a way that harms anybody, the kids, you, whatever it is, you need to stop that. And you need to legally stop that. Meaning, I would then, if she hit me, I would call the police. They'd laugh at me, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I want that report. That report is going to do absolutely nothing with the exception of being evidence in a later case. Then, if we were new in a divorce and a custody battle, which is happening in the situation where this came out of, what I would do is I would contact my attorneys and I would get immediately, if there aren't temporary parental orders in place, I would get them. So to define parenting time, I would even get child support defined. I would get all that stuff on paper and I would take initiative on that in a way that seemed fair. So if I'm in a state that doesn't really award 50-50 easily, and it's usually kind of like an 80-20 or 70-30 situation, I would get it as much as possible to where if she's going to be the primary or if I can be the primary, I would determine what that is. That is pretty easy to do, but it can be very frustrating and all these different things. That I would determine who is going to be the primary and fight for that. If you can do that, you can do that. But if not, and in the case that we were talking, probably not, but who knows? We got to look at it more. I would then say, I want to see those kids every day because parenting time is super important. So if they're going to spend the night 7 nights a week at her house, I still want to see them every day for a couple hours, and I want that to be defined. If that connection is in front of a judge, it's really, really important. It's very hard for a judge to say, oh, well, we usually do 80-20, but they're already happily, interacting on this level. Why would I stop it? And they've done this since the separation. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but that's really important. You want, at the point of separation, you want to start defining parenting time. Because parenting time before separation is out the window. The relationship's over. And so a lot of times judges may not look at that. So that's important. But I then want to be aggressive on the legal battle to ensure that there is no domestic violence, no abuse, that if there is, I want to be able to, how do I say this, to have consequences towards her in that. Now, the consequences aren't going to be like, she made up a false claim and we're suing her for that. That's very, very difficult to do, but I hope in the future that's a lot easier to do. But consequences like, okay, you're going to say this. Well, we want an investigation. We want psychological evaluations. We want to have a forensic psych eval on us and now on the kids. Did the kids see abuse? We want to take this claim seriously so that every time she comes into any sort of legal presence in this, whether it's the courtroom, in front of cops, whatever it is, that she suffers a consequence financially because it will tie up legal funds, that it could make a move to later on in the court case to show that she's mentally unstable, that she can be so hysterical that she could make up these things and waste everybody's time. We want to also show that, okay, you're going to accuse me of this. I'm going to prove it's not true in every single way, shape, and form. Now, this is what I did in my case, and it was awesome. It worked out really well for me. And part of that was because I didn't have any abuse. What's interesting is, in my case, she admitted to what was abuse without really knowing it, and freely admitted it and defended those actions of abuse. So under oath, and it really worked in my favor. This is something that I think is very important in our culture. I get it that women have been harmed in many, many ways. I'm not saying that they haven't. I think that there are still things where women are disadvantaged, and I think that there are absolutely 100%, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, that there are women who have exploited that and completely screwed men over with that. I think we need to stop looking at our culture that just because a woman is upset or hysterical, she gets a buy to make up something illegal that might make me go to jail and take away my kids. This is horrible. Guys, if you're interested in the solution and getting to that, I have groups that have been doing this for 15 years, maybe more than that now. Check the Direct Me link in my bio. Get a private consult with me. Get into my groups, and let's start working on the solution and working unified. All right. Thanks for watching.